Oh, you're so here on News Desk in Ghana. More than 5 million people, or about 18% of the population, rely on surface water to meet their daily water needs, leaving them vulnerable to water-related illness and disease. Further, 81% of Ghanaians lack access to improved sanitation or are entirely without toilet facilities. The majority of households without access to safe water and sanitation lack the upfront funds needed to invest in their own solutions. Consequently, those living in poverty often pay up to 10 times more per litre for water service from private vendors than their middle-class counterparts connected to pipe water services. These water costs can be reduced through investment in improved household water assets such as connections, rainwater harvesting equipment, wells and latrines. Unfortunately, these require upfront investment that, without access to financing, are unrealistic for most of these people. The Ghana Water Company paints a grim picture of how climate change and human activities are affecting water bodies that serve as primary source for their plant. Nanaya Berima Bani is Western Regional Communications Manager of the company.
If you look at the color of the water, it tells you that we have a lot of silt inbuilt, and we also have the turbidity very high. So even if you draw the water, you are going to take part of it, you are going to throw part of it away, because you have a lot of silt, or the turbidity is very high, and we need to maintain our standards. So you might draw as we used to do during the rainy season, but because of the turbidity, about 15% of the water had to be thrown away in order to be able to get the water clean for consumption. Hopefully by the close of the week, the dredging would have been completed. We've done, let's say, about 45% of the dredging. We're hoping by Friday we should be through with the dredging, and we'll have enough water to produce, and we are hoping that production is going to improve, and the water situation in town will also improve. Normally, our average production per day, a cubic meter, is about 1.2 cedis a day. Currently, we need to apply more chemical. We run our equipment. Electricity is high, but the production is low. So if you do the computation, we are doing about 2 cedis per cubic meter. Okay. Then we also have this galamsey issue, where we have a lot of silt inbuilt in the intake site. As this galamsey activities is going on, it brings along a lot of silt, and they come to deposit at our intake. So we need to take these silts out so that we can get a lot of water to be able to produce. We should also know that now, because of the dry season, we're not getting inflows. So the water that we have there, as we draw, definitely it will go down. So that is the situation that we find ourselves in now.
And that's Engineer Vincent Opokuwari Danku with the Ghana Water Company in the Western region. We're talking about climate change, water security, and the way forward. So in studio, I have head of groundwater division of the CSIR, Dr. Anthony Dia. He's also a senior research scientist. Also in the studio is Mr. Jesse Kofi Danku from WaterAid Ghana. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Thank you for being
here. So first off, you can paint the challenges to us, particularly in the communities.
Exactly. So we are confronted with a challenge where you have surface waters are drying out. You have many communities that have access to safe water, or in the event that they even have, sometimes because of flooding, the sources are contaminated and become unusable. So you are faced with a situation where you see many communities resorting to dig out their own improvised way of accessing water. And we are talking of, under the SDG, we are talking of a universal access to all Ghanaians by 2030. So the question we need to ask ourselves whether we are delivering on that, ensuring that by that time we'll be able to meet the demand of the populace so that they can gain access to safe water.
Fortunately, Dr. Jia is here, so perhaps I'll throw that question to you.
Right. I think as a country, I always say this, that we shouldn't have problem with water because we have enough water that is flowing through, on the land surface and through our rivers and lakes and all that. Unfortunately, we are not, taking good care of the water. So a lot of things happen and the water quality is in the situation where you cannot use them. So when it gets to that point, then you realize that you need to spend a lot of money treating the water before you can use it. And in normal circumstance, raw water quality should have, it should be in a range where at least minimal treatment, or sometimes you can even use them, because you remember of old, whilst our parents used to go to farms, they almost drink from the rivers directly. These days, if you try that, you will not live long, because of a lot of things that we're doing to ourselves and especially to the environment. And then this time we talking about water security. UN has always, advocated that March 22nd, that is coming Sunday, it's a World Water Day every year. And we celebrate that to bring awareness to the fact that water is without substitution. And water is life. We can all live with a lot of things, without a lot of things, but not with water. So at the end of the day, our water everybody should have access to water. But here we are in a situation where we have a lot of water on the land, yet people are not getting water to use because of the situation the water in. The water comes in all forms, but we have to look at the safe water as well. Now this year, the theme is climate change, water and climate change. And we know what climate change has done to us.
Coupled with activities of Galamsey.
Exactly. So basically you are looking for, let's call that a natural phenomenon. So, we have very little to do with that, except that we could try to do a lot of adaptation and mitigation measures so that we can be able to live with it. But coupled with, like you said, things that we do to ourselves, what we are putting in the system, the anthropogenic activities, human activities that is coming also in addition to that. So when you put all these things together, now we are looking at the future. What does the future hold for us as a country? There are some of these things we need to put a stop to them. And I think that...
But can we stop climate change?
No. As I said, no. That is why I said natural phenomenon. We can always mitigate the measures, and also our response to climate change. That's why we talk about adaptation. So if you realize that this is what is going to happen, then you adapt yourself to that. So in the face of these things, what can we do ourselves? So that is fine. We can deal with that. But what about the other things that are happening, the anthropogenic activities, our human activities? We're talking about Galamsey. So you look at the water and the way things are happening. These are things that we can stop, because naturally with climate change, we are talking about high temperatures. The temperatures are projected to go up, and then also rainfalls are projected to come down. Data will show that, within the last 30, 50 years, rainfall pattern has come down. So we're looking at a population that is also going up. So if you have a system that, assuming the water quantity in the whole system is constant, you are having a situation where your water supply is going down.
Sure.
You are having the population going up, so more people are now going to share very few amount of water.
Okay.
So what do we do?
So I guess because we're talking also about security, then now we have to explore the other ways of getting water. And I want to bring into the borehole idea, where a lot of people are trying to, those who can afford, because it can be very expensive. So explore that avenue for us. Mr. Danku.
Yes, so we at WaterAid, realizing that in the near future we'll have severe impact of climate change, have started doing some activities, first by developing water security plans with the districts, where we bring all the stakeholders together to dialogue and understand the impact that climate change will have on it. Because we are asking of boreholes, it depends on the availability of the water resource. And if the source is even contaminated, because some of these surface water that you see are recharge areas for the groundwater, you may not know. So if it's polluted or contaminated, it goes back to contaminate the groundwater. So that is one thing we have done. We are also embarking on a climate change campaign, and we are saying that the first line of defense for climate change is safe water. So we want everybody to have that realization. And if you go into government's strategies on even their nationally intended, what do they call it, determined contribution, which they have signed on to from the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, they are saying that they want to do some investment. Government is talking about 22 point something billion cedis. So it means that we need to plan ahead of time and involve everybody. Most often we develop these policies and we don't involve the community members because they are the beneficiary. And of course, they are not even creating the climate change issues, but they suffer the most. So for groundwater, the most important thing is that we need to build capacity for people to do the right thing.
Okay.
And I'm glad to announce that Water Resources Commission has started something that to license all drillers to have permit. But as to whether they are really implementing that, with the assumption that once you have the permit, then you know the right thing to do when you are constructing a borehole. Because if the borehole is not constructed well, once there is runoff, you can still get that contamination.
Okay, and I Doc, you find this interesting or worrying? Because there's a smile on your face.
Yeah, when you talk about groundwater, I mean, that's the business I do basically. You know, I've been doing this for so many years, and the problems that confront us are things that I always say we can always deal with. You know, groundwater is safe in terms of availability because we are talking about a top soil that is protecting it. You know, unlike the surface water that is always exposed to the atmosphere. So directly, if there's a lot of temperature, what do you call it, the temperature rise, you know, evaporation will also rise. So more water will be evaporated into the atmosphere. And also when we're talking about land degradation, so it will affect directly, you know. But when you talk about groundwater, because it's buffered by, you know, a good amount of soil and rock, so it's kind of protected. But sometimes, like my brother was saying, these groundwaters are recharged by rainfall. There are areas that we call the recharge areas. So the water goes there and then they seep through the ground and store. Most of the groundwater we are using have been accumulated there for years and decades. Because the flow of groundwater in rocks is very, very slow, depending on where it is.
So I get the sense that climate change effectively is also affecting even groundwater.
Yes, it will, definitely. Because at the end of the day, all water is recharged by rainfall. So if rainfall reduces, except that you're looking at how much is there, how much is being used. Because in this country, we don't use much. Because if you compare us to most other places where groundwater is a main source of irrigation, you know, a lot of groundwater is used. You go to the Middle East there, I mean, most of it's a desert place, and they depend on groundwater. So get to a point when they realize that, no, we are using too much.
So is the raw groundwater safe?
It is not always safe, because it exists within the rock and also within the soil. It means that these rocks are different rocks. You know, we're talking about rock formation, geology. We have different types of rocks, and they all have different minerals. So water passing through them will wash away the minerals. So when you do a drilling and then you get your groundwater, the first thing you do is to take your sample to the lab so that you do the water quality analysis. Then it will tell you the state of your water, whether you can drink it directly, whether you have to treat it or not. Because look at all the areas in this country, especially along this area, the coastal areas, there are a lot of problems that we have with salt. And then other places, we have iron, manganese, fluoride in the north and other parts of the country. There are other parameters that these we need to. But a lot of people do borehole, they don't even.
So I just wanted to ask Mr. Danku, because he's been doing a lot of grounds work as well. How many of these people actually go through the process, take it to the lab like he outlined?
We ensure that is the first thing to do before we developed. We have moved away essentially from just putting the hand pumps on the boreholes to mechanizing them and taking them to other healthcare facilities, school or community. So what we do is that we test the borehole, and sometimes we do the testing for 3 times just to be sure that the quality we are dealing with, it's safe, because sometimes the quality can even, there is a degradation, it goes down, or it becomes worse even when you start pumping. So, and we were working in a difficult area where we have a high fluoride content. So we make sure that this thing is done 2 or 3 times to confirm the quality before we will develop them. We have also trained the communities as to what to do in terms of ensuring the water. And it's a policy of WaterAid that even after we have developed these systems, we go back and check the quality again at the fetching points to ensure that what we really provided for the community, it's safe for a very long time.
So usually do community members understand the changes in climate?
Yeah, so as part of our water security plan, we involve largely the community. So they are doing the rainfall monitoring using rain gauge, and some are also doing the groundwater level monitoring. Because if you involve them at that stage and they are seeing it themselves, then it becomes easier for them to adopt the acceptable ways that, like Tony was saying, because some of these things are caused by human activities, cutting of the forest, degradation, deforestation, and all those kind of things, dumping sites and all that. They are caused by human beings. So it is important for them to understand what they are. I mean, once they see what is happening, then they begin to appreciate it, and it's easier for them to have that behavior change to adopt them.
Because usually they don't link their activities directly to the fact that they are not finding water, or the water they see is not healthy.
Exactly.
Okay. So the last time you were on Newsfile, again, very soon we could be buying water. And I was telling myself, okay, we've had that. How close are we to that?
I thought we are buying water already. Well, I'm talking about drinking water. So basically, most of people now are buying water to drink, even though Ghana Water still provide very good water for us through our taps, you know. But a lot of them, sometimes because of challenges, you know, these things are. It's always difficult to say this, but you know, these are realities that we need to face. As a country, we are not helping ourselves. You know, you look at this galamsey business, it's really taking a lot of toll. You know, you just show the news item, Western Region, Daboase. You know, the last time we went to Daboase, 2013 or so, there was no water to take. The whole of the intake place was silted. You know, so that the sands filled the place, and you had people manually trying to dig the sand into boats and carry them away so that the place can get water to flow there. You know, and so this is happening not only there, a lot of other places. You look at Ghana water data, most of these areas.
It sounds like we haven't seen progress with all the advocacy, with all the initiatives that have been taken. Are we seeing some kind of progress, at least from where you say?
If you look at the data, you would see that it went from Bar to West up to 2016 there, and then since then, you know, because of the ban that was placed on illegal mining, the situation became okay. It became, things really was going down. The bar situation was getting off. And then the data will show that, you know, turbidity levels came down drastically. You know, the whole of 2017 was fine. 2018, a little bit of, you know, some places went up, and then, but it came down. But then, since the end of 2018, 2019, we are still seeing that the turbidity levels are now going up again. That's time we were showing you that I have some data here. If you're going to look through them, you will see that it is now going up again because, you know, we are still not able to monitor them. You know, the people that are supposed to be doing that thing, and there are a lot of people who are doing the illegal things. You know, it's a very difficult thing to do.
So I guess it's very complicated because, like you said, we can't control climate change.
Yeah.
But even the thing that we can control,
we are not doing
we're not. So it kind of just.
Yeah. So it sums at the whole situation that we are not, you know, in good place.
So I guess finally we can talk about, in view of all the what we have outlined, how then do we ensure security?
Okay, I'll start from the government. So we are calling on the government to honor their promises that they have said in their climate adaptation strategy and the nationally determined contribution that they want to make a resource internally and externally, 22-point-something billion cedis to invest in developing capacities. Because in the first place, we need the internal capacities to even understand these challenges, to be able to keep our water safe for people to use. Because Ghana, if you talk of climate change generally they will define as drought, prolonged drought, and flooding. Yeah, this is what we know. And we are also linking this to our sanitation. This is a situation we are talking about, community-led 2008, when we are asking every household to construct their toilets that are not lined. So during flooding, you can imagine the effects that it will have. Maybe some of these toilets are washed away and it can create problems. So it is better we invest and come out with credit facilities for our communities, so that when they are building climate resilient toilets that endure the changing climatic. And government should, because I'm happy government says that it is to at least make increase 20% access to safe water. So if this is their objective, then it calls for huge financial investment. At this time, we shouldn't wait until we get to that precarious situation before we. Let us build the systems now. If there are systemic challenges, let us deal with them, have internal capacities, and carry the communities along for them to be aware of the impacts that it can have on them.
Okay, great. Dr. Dia, what practical steps can we take to ensure water security?
No, the best thing to do right now is to make sure that we control what we can control. Okay, and controlling these things, like my brother said, involves a lot of funding. You know, the people that are doing this work most of the time don't have the money to do that. You know, we used to do monitoring. At a point, we didn't have money, we stopped. Once in a while, we gather money from people who also come and help. Then we go around and do the checking and then analysis, take samples and analyze them. You know, so when we don't have money, we don't do that. But people expect these things to be done. So, like my brother said, WRC, the Water Resource Commission, they are in charge of the water resources of this country. And then we talked about licensing and all these things. The rules and then the regulations are there. But even getting funds to get people to monitor them, making sure that these people are licensed, that they have the right personnel. Because if you get licensed, it doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want. There's a lot of things they are supposed to do. They should get proper people, technology, you know, hydrogeological technicians or hydrogeologists to be on site. They know exactly what to be done. Okay, if you buy a rig and then you take it to the field and start drilling borehole, doesn't mean that that is it. It's not everywhere you drill that you get water. You know, and then even when you get water, what type of water are you getting? So we should get the right people, you know, the right geoscientists to be doing these things, and then we make sure that they bring the data. They are supposed to bring data back because it's going to improve the geology, you know.
So data for
research and analysis. But we are not getting these things because people are doing indiscriminate borehole drilling all over the place. So, and then we talk about science and research and all that. There's no money to do these things. We need money to do this. If we are serious about these things, we have to put monies to these things so that the right things are done. Then we can lead and guide that this is what we need to do. Water Commission has buffer buffer areas. All rivers are supposed to buffer about 100 meters or so. Go to the field. It is not like that.
But who is monitoring?
Who is doing that? You know, people are cutting trees all over. The trees are supposed to protect the land and protect the rivers. Because when the water fall, the temperature falls directly on the water, it evaporates faster. But the trees will protect it and keep it over a long time. The dams, are we protecting them? So we need funds to do these things. And a lot of money has to go there. But when they are not there, it becomes very difficult to do the work that we're supposed to do.
So as you know, we count down to World Water Day. Practically for people, for individuals and persons, what can they also do in their own small ways?
Okay, so people can also adopt rain harvesting technologies, because in Ghana we waste so much rainfall. Some developed countries will tell that the next world war will be fought over water. And people are creating artificial aquifers where they are redirecting their rainfall. So we are not doing those sort of things. So at household level, we can think of using rainwater and ensuring that the quality of water we have, we don't just waste it. We also try to maintain the quality. Whatever we do as individuals, we always talk about the behavior change. What am I throwing into the environment? What impact does it have in the environment? Sometimes if even the soil adaptive capacity, it's exhausted. It cannot absorb anything again. So we must take responsibility for that as individuals, that whatever I throw into the environment goes somewhere. And we also say that don't defecate openly, because these are, when it rains, it is washed into the surface water. And some people depend on this surface water. Like we said, that some could also be recharge areas. So let's avoid polluting the environment, because all this, we are talking about scarcity of water. So even if we get the water, we want to get it very safe. The quality should be acceptable.
Okay.
So people should adopt those positive behavior so as to keep our water safe.
Okay. Dr. Dua, finally, the boreholes that we have, how often should we do the quality checks?
Let me say, you know, when you drill a borehole, first of all, you do that. They don't normally change, but let's put it maybe in a matter of 6 months, you have to do that. But if you are using it for commercial purposes, because then you take a lot of water, so things can change very fast. You know, and most of the water we have selling on the streets far from boreholes. A good number of them are from boreholes. About 80% of them are from boreholes. So it means that they need to check. The first, normally they do the first ones and get approval from FDA, and then they put their stamp on it, and that's it. Most of the time they don't do it again, which is bad. Every batch is supposed to be tested because you don't know what's inside, but especially something that is going inside somebody, make sure that we don't.
So let me just quickly follow up and ask. So for me as a recipient, because I don't know where the water is coming from, but I suspect it's borehole, and I don't know if it's been tested or not, what should I do to it as the consumer?
It's difficult because as a consumer, let's say you bought water from the street, you know, there's no way you are going to find a lab to test it before you drink it, you know. So for us, what we should be careful the type of water we purchase. We should be very sure about the brand that we are buying, because not all of them are doing the right things.
Okay, but I was even imagining the tanks, those who supply us at home.
Mostly, I would say mostly because people don't drink directly. If you are drinking the tank, then you have to be very, very careful, because then you have a large number of amount of water in your tank that you're going to use over a period of time. The best thing is to do, if you are not too sure, take a sample and take it to a water research institute, and they will do a sample.
Individuals can just walk into CSIR and test the water that they're using.
For a charge. So people come there every day. There are a lot of people running. If you go there now, you see a lot of samples that are coming there. So you can test it, and then you be sure that. Now, there are some few other treatment things that are coming up. We are working with other individuals and companies who are trying to provide us some devices that we can put in your tank that will purify the water. We have some other devices that you pass the water through, takes away almost everything, just like the kidney is doing that. We are working with some agencies on that. Very soon we are going to display a hub at CSI Water Research to show the water treatment options that we have.
Okay,
and some
great.
of them will be very cheap for people to use.
Okay, all right. So thank you, gentlemen, for your time. And I wonder what we should do on Water Day as individuals in our homes. What's the expectation in observation of the day?
Use water wisely.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I also want to say that take responsibility for the water you drink. If I'm buying a particular brand, nothing prevents me from visiting their factory. Once in a while, let's go there and see what they are doing.
Okay.
What filters are they using? Even if it's from the tanker, rely on a specific one and take responsibility. Check whether he washes the tank often or those kind of. We can do that.
Great tip.
But when
Thank
we
you.
change from one brand to the other, then it becomes very
I think
right.
to make it easier to also to let the people who are supposed to do this thing to work.
Yeah.
If the people who are supposed to be checking out doing this, then individuals will not be running around. You may not even know where the factory is. So the authorities that are charged to make sure that they are giving us good water, let's make sure that they are working. And
Thank you,
if they
sir.
need money, let's provide the money for them.
All right.
To
Thank
work.
you, gentlemen, for your time.
Welcome.